Welcome to Streams of Income, hosted by best-selling author and entrepreneur Dr. David Powers, where we discuss streams of income, passive income, residual income, and even why there are dinosaurs and zombies in this intro. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to dive in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Streams of Income podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you are willing to give me some of your time to listen to either a business lesson or an interview with an amazing entrepreneur. So once again, thank you for listening to the Streams of Income podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. All right, folks, welcome. And I finally remembered to hit record before I started talking too much, because some of the best conversations happen before the record button. And so we're going to save that for the show, right?
Isn't that the truth?
So we're here with Patrick Engasser. Did I say the last name right?
You nailed it, yeah.
All right, Patrick Engasser, and this ought to be a pretty cool one. I've been looking forward to this. I was reading up on your stuff when they first pitched you to me to be on the podcast, and pretty neat story. So I tell you what, though, before we dig into the present, I always like to get you to do a little intro, but I like to hear about the early days, like early jobs, early things that you did for work, and that brought you to where you are now.
Well, thanks for having me, David. It's an honor to be on. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you introducing me to your amazing audience. So one of my favorite topics, income streams. So I'm really excited about this. So early on, so for those who don't know me, my name is Patrick Engasser. I've been blind since birth. So that's usually the first thing people want to focus on. But on this podcast, I think it's cool that it might go in a different direction just based on your topic. So I got into straight out of college, I get into call center work, which is the first job I ever had. I was actually doing debt collection work.
Oh boy, did you enjoy that?
Nope. Not at all. Which I'm really grateful for now. I was less so at the time, but I'm really grateful for now because it forced me into a totally different direction. If it had been something that I was just comfortably miserable with, which I know a lot of my friends were, and they're just like, yeah, I don't really like what I do, but I get paid pretty well, and the work is okay, I guess. And a lot of them are still doing similar things to what they were doing back then, where I absolutely hated it. It's the only thing I've really done for money before or since. Even jobs I had when I was in high school or college, while I was putting my making money to pay for tuition in college, working during the summer, working during the semesters. I always liked what I did to a point. This was the first thing I really didn't like, and it forced me to go in a totally different direction. So if that hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have had my antennas up and my eyes, maybe not my eyes, but my ears open, listening for opportunities. And when an opportunity came to be self-employed and have be a 1099 outside sales rep for a Fortune 500 insurance company, I would have said no way, or I would have just completely ignored the opportunity. But because I met the former regional coordinator of that company at a gym when I was working out with a personal trainer, he switched his day for whatever reason. I think he had something going on. I'd never run into him at the gym before, but I did that day, and I was looking. So some of you know what I mean when I say that. I was open to opportunities, and that's lesson number one. If you want opportunities, you got to be aware of what's going on around you. At that time, I was hyper aware, which I wouldn't have been prior to that. And so I got into the insurance industry the way that most people get into it, which is falling, face first into it. and I'm grateful that happened, because that was my first introduction to ongoing residual income. Be able to build something that pays you multiple times for a single day's effort, which I was completely unaware of or unfamiliar with prior to that. And I fell in love with it very quickly. So it took a little bit of time before I got off the ground. I had my struggles in the first 2 years, but the first time I got paid for work I had done months before that made me go, wow, that was amazing. I got to do more of this. Wait a second. I got this. I still remember the day. It was for $277. I was on vacation in the Finger Lakes with my family. I'm originally from New York. I live in Destin, Florida now. I'm from Buffalo. But I was in the Finger Lakes on vacation on a fishing trip, camping fishing trip, and I went to check my account, and I realized my balance was off from what I thought it would be. And I went in and checked my deposits, and there was a deposit for $277. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And then I started going through and trying to figure out where it came from. And I realized that had come from a transaction, a sale I had made more than 7 months earlier than that on a trailer commission, which was, an ongoing monthly that started in. And then I realized that this was something that what people had been raving about, getting paid multiple times for a single day's effort. I'm like, wow, this is real. Like, this is actual real life. This can actually happen to someone like me. And that was for me where kind of the excitement and I caught the bug of, I want to get paid while I sleep. Prior to that, that was a fantasy. I realized that was real. And it's something I've been working to continue to create systems for the last 15 years since that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you mentioned systems. Like, how important are systems to success, to getting out of the regular mold that everybody else stays in?
Well, they're everything if you want to create freedom. I mean, if you want to create freedom, you have to have a strategy to do it. But the biggest thing is systemizing your income so that, you're going to put the work in on the front end. Everyone's looking for an easy way to get rich quick. I think everyone can relate to that. At least we've heard it and like, hey, that seems too good to be true, but I wish it was. That'd be awesome. But you got to put in the work up front. But once you start to get the momentum rolling, it's important to systemize as soon as possible and to begin with the end in mind. I wish I had done that sooner in my insurance industry, but once I figured that out and started putting some systems in place, the rest kind of took care of itself. So you want to begin with we've all heard that from Covey's book, and people have repeated it over and over, the idea of beginning with the end in mind. But it's really true. The more that you start looking at how to systemize your business or your income, whatever that is, whether it's a side business or your primary business, or even you're in a sales industry where you have the freedom to be able to find some systems, to delegate, to systemize some of the things that you some of your time. The sooner you have that mindset and the sooner you can start to plan for that, the better, because that changed the game for me, is having my income be more systemized so that I can make money day and night.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I didn't hit back on it when you first mentioned it, but you were at the gym and you said you were just aware, just open to opportunities. And so how do you cultivate a mindset for that kind of thing? Because I get it, but at times it's hard, and I know a lot of people could use help with that.
For sure. Well, at the time it was out of frustration, so it wasn't. At the time I had not cultivated. It became more intentional later, and I think that's the thing: is to train yourself to be open to and be aware of opportunities that are going on around you. Because everyone wants an opportunity, but a lot of times they're not looking for it. Their eyes and ears aren't open to what's going on around them. But it's like you buy a red convertible because you're like, no one in town has a red convertible. And then you go out and we'll go out and look for them and they're everywhere. Well, they didn't just show up today. They were there every other day that ended in Y prior to you buying one. It's just your brain wasn't focused on it. So when you kind of tell your brain what to be focused on and kind of program it in a way to look for the things that you want, those things start to show up everywhere. Well, they were there all along. It's just you weren't looking for opportunity. So just stopping and reminding yourself every day, whether that's with a goal statement or something that you journal about in the morning, or just in general thinking this morning, okay, these are the things that I'm looking for in order to reach the goals I want. So for me, I write down the 3 big wins I want to have from the day at the beginning of the day, and then write down in my journal. And even if I don't journal about anything else, the 3 biggest wins I had from the day at the end of the day. So it keeps my brain focused on, my subconscious and my conscious for that matter, focused on what I'm looking for. And so it's a reminder. Those opportunities, when they come up, they don't just go flying past me. I'm not going to say it never happens. As you said, it's difficult. It's something you have to train yourself to do. But if you're doing that on a regular basis, you're not going to miss anywhere near as many opportunities when they pop up as if you're not paying attention at all. So first step is awareness and being intentional about it. If you do that, the rest will, for the most part, start to take care of itself, that at least those things are you're catching on to them. Oh, there's an opportunity right there. Then what you do with it, you can at least make decisions on, versus a lot of people aren't even aware. They don't have their antennas up, and as a result, things
Yeah.
fly by them all the time.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, and some of the best jobs I've ever had was when I went looking for a job, not applying for a job that was open. Like I just went to a place I wanted to work for and said, "Hey, I want to do this for you," and
Yep.
be able to act the opportunities.
Yeah, sometimes it's going
And
and
I always
asking,
tell my
right?
kids, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And I always tell my kids to volunteer for everything, especially when you don't know what you're volunteering for.
Yeah, right. But a lot of it is exactly what you just said, asking too. If there's something you really want, instead of just automatically switching your brain off to it and just saying, "Hey, I'd never be able to do that," or "They wouldn't want to hire someone like me," or "I don't have any experience," go in and have the conversation, because they might say, "Hey, I'm not ready to hire someone with your level of experience today," or "I'm not, this might not be something that you're ready to invest in today." But now you're creating that groundwork, that kind of foundation for it, where, as you said, maybe you can volunteer for them and get into the organization that way. Maybe you can be around people who are movers and shakers and are a great people to add to your power of five, to help uplift you and help you to reach that next level of success, because you're around successful people. So rather than just looking at, "Oh, well, I'm not ready to do that right now, so therefore I'm not even going to try." Go ask the question, because the answer is
Yeah.
always no. Remember, you're asking the question to that person. You're either saying no to you, or that other person is saying yes or no. But you can't say yes to yourself. Someone else, that opportunity is going to say yes or no. But if not, you're just automatically assuming it's a no and walking away with that no, pocketing that no before you even ask the question. So I love what you
Oh
said.
yeah. Absolutely. And I've worked with a lot, I work with a lot of small businesses doing like small business coaching, like family
Me
businesses,
too.
things like that. And people that would walk into a place and just ask for a job that isn't even open right now. I mean, they're going to seem more motivated, more hard charging than a lot of the people that are already working there. I mean,
Yep.
it's crazy.
Yes. 100%.
Yep. Hey, so you led some high profile sales teams. I mean, you hit the top of the sales charts at the insurance company where you were, and possibly some other places. What's your secret for that, for building a sales team that really rocks it out?
So I think the biggest thing, and thank you for that. I think the biggest thing is just building relationships with people, and then finding out what I'm very good at. There's a lot of things I'm not great at, like all of us. But one thing I'm very good at is finding what incentivizes people, what gives people an incentive, what they're looking to accomplish, and what that actually means. Digging deep into their why and saying, "Why do you want to be successful at this? What does success look like?" A lot of times we assume that people want what we want, and that's almost never the
That's
case.
good.
It could be, but for the most part, everybody's looking for something a little different.
Yeah.
Their idea of freedom might be different from mine. Like, I'll give you a quick example. When the regional coordinator, of the insurance company that I worked with, and were represented for over a decade, had said to me, "Hey, you should work here, represent this company, because you can make a six-figure income." Well, prior to me, no one had ever made a six-figure income in my family. Now that's no longer the case, even after me. But at that time, if he would have said that to me, I'd been like, "Well, that's great for everybody else, but that's not humanly possible for me." Like, I'm just a blind dude from Buffalo, New York. I want to be able to pay my bills, and I want to not get cussed out by 100 people a day on the phone in a collections cubicle.
Yeah.
So, but he told me there's a lot of people here who make very good income, but the biggest thing is he really went through, and I had a lot of questions, but one of the things he touched on was, you can make your own schedule. Yes, you have to put in the work. If you don't produce, you don't make money. But when he started talking about the freedom that people have and the lifestyle that people were able to create, that's what made me go, this is what I want. I want more of this
Yeah.
in my life. So for me, I've never, because of my experience, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of not assuming that people want the same thing that I do, and asking them, what drives you? Where do you want to be in 5 years? What does making money and having success here look like to you? Not forget about the money part of it. I know that's part of it, but what will that enable you to do? Digging a level deeper, and then helping them with that goal. Like, if their goal is just, "Hey, I want to make an extra $1,000 a month. I'm retired now, but I'm here because I want something to, I want money to be able to go on vacation and be able to travel in my retired years. Great. I've had a couple of people who that was their goal. Great. Then I'll help you make an extra $1,000 a month, and I'll keep that goal in front of you all the time. But I think having really understanding people, wanting to get to know people as human beings and not treating them as robots or numbers, which is very, I don't want to say easy to do in the world we live in, but we live behind our technology sometimes, our mobile devices that are in our hands, and we're connected with people on social media. All that stuff is great. There's nothing wrong with it. There's some great benefits to all those things. They have value. But the biggest thing that has value for me is human beings, people. And if you want to build a team, I look at it, a lot of people look at how do I build my business? And I always tell my coaching clients when I work with small and medium-sized businesses or corporations, and I'm working with them, or I'm coaching an entrepreneur who is bringing on a couple of virtual assistants. I always say, working with clients as well. I said, a lot of people look at it as how do I grow my business? I said, the best thing you can do is ask the question, yes, how do I grow my business? But first and foremost, how do I grow people? Because if you grow people and you get the right people on the train, if you will, and they're part of your business and you're focused on how do I grow these people, they will grow your business. And so that was really my focus, is how do I pour into these people? I let them know what our common goal is, but I also care really deeply about what their goals are. And if I grow these people to the point where they're hitting their numbers that they need to hit, that the rest will take care of itself in terms of hitting my goals. My favorite quote from one of my favorite speakers, God rest his soul, Zig Ziglar, always said, you can have anything you want in life if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. And I have found that to be 100% true. If you just simply focus on growing other people, they'll grow your business and your life will grow as a result.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, Zig Ziglar is one of those guys that would have been incredibly successable even at that collection call centers. Like he would have somehow found a way to have fun with it.
Yep, I agree.
Yep. All right. So nowadays, though, you've left what you used to do, doing sales for insurance, and you're like the trifecta of motivational speakers, like the speaking, coaching, author. That's primarily what you do now?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. And how did you move into that?
So my goal, I have a 3-year-old son. So when we were pregnant, when my wife got pregnant, we decided we talked about moving to Florida prior, but kind of during the COVID time, we went on a few vacations because there was not a lot to do in terms of client facing in the business, at least where I was in New York for a handful of months. So we fell in love with the Emerald Coast area of Florida, up in the Panhandle, which is where we live now. And we really wanted to move. And so it became, do I want to build another sales team where I am? Or I had this coaching business that I was building on the side as a secondary form of a stream of income. Or did I want to hire a coach and figure out exactly how to do this and market this in a big way to make this another primary stream of income? And then once that became reality, I wanted something that would free up my time and free me up in terms of mobility to be able to work from wherever, right? It's one of the reasons that we're likely going to be homeschooling our son so that any other future children we have, so that we can travel as often as we want. We're not tied to a specific area. And
we homeschooled all 5 of ours. And
there you go.
When I would do speaking trips, I would take one kid with me on a speaking trip. And that way it's like alone time with dad. We'd hit battlefields and museums. And I mean, love that. You're going to love that.
Yeah, obviously I think the quality, if you're able to, and I understand every parent isn't, and maybe we'll get a year or two into it and say we're not able to either, but I've met many homeschool parents and children who've had that a similar amazing experience. So I think if you're able to do it, and it gives you that freedom to be able to build your business around your life instead of your life around your business. Most people live their life in the scraps of time left over because they're working 100 hours a week and they're tethered to this business, where if you build it the right way, beginning with the end in mind. And I really had that opportunity to do it right the second time because I messed it up a lot the first time. So I would say learn from my mistakes and really begin with the end in mind of what do you want your lifestyle, design your life the way you want. It's one of the things I help coaching members do, entrepreneurs who are very successful or even having early success if they're new in the business. But they're looking to create that freedom, and they're like, hey, I'm good at certain parts of this business, but I don't feel like it's creating the freedom I expected it to. I'm
Yeah.
an owner, operator, founder, and I'm still doing everything. How do I systemize this baby to make this thing work so that I'm servicing my clients in a really great way? I'm creating that wow factor for them, but I'm also creating the life of freedom and opportunity that I want for myself and my family so that we can live a great life, the life that we design living. Like I'm blessed every day. Like, is my life perfect? Of course it's not. No one's is. I'm a human being, but walking on the beach in the mornings and doing the things I love to do with my family. Like right before this call, I had a quieter Thursday morning. My wife and I went out. We have a babysitter here. We went out and grabbed coffee at our favorite coffee shop, and then came back to jump on. I had a couple calls in the morning. So like I really do live that of building my business. And I don't ever want to be the coach who talks about, oh yeah, build your business around your life. And then I don't actually do that. I work a thousand hours and I don't like what I do. I love what I do. And a big part of it is because it's able to feed the dreams that I have and that my family has. So I think a lot of it is really that of looking for what it is that you want out of life. And then really using, creating an income stream or multiple streams that will give you that freedom to be able to do that. A lot of people believe that's not possible, but look, as I said, if the blind guy from Buffalo, New York can figure it out and can do it, you can do it too. Hence the name of my title of my book. If I can do it, you can do it. So that's really how I came to get into this industry, and that came to me. And then I systemized my insurance business. A lot of that happened when my son was going to be born, when we found out that was happening, and we were super excited about that. It was, now I have to systemize this so I can take some time away from this business. And in doing so, it enabled me to put together a plan of action to turn that business over to a good friend of mine, so that they could continue to generate income. They would get a much bigger piece of the income than I would, but that business would continue to create an income stream for me for many years to come, and create that stability, and then move on and continue working on these other income streams. So that's really how it happened.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you mentioned your book, so let me mention it again. So it's If I Can Do It, You Can Do It, and I guess obviously available on Amazon or from your website.
Yes, sir.
And the website, so I don't forget, patrickengasser.com.
Yep, and Engasser is ENGA, two S's like Sam, ERN-Gasser, patrickengasser.com. Yep.
All right. And if you're listening to this, I'll put it in the show notes, but if you happen to be in the car, you can always click on that later. And I don't want you doing that while you're driving, but I do want you listening to the show and checking out his website. And so people can also book you for speaking engagements and things from there too, I assume.
Yep, they can go to patrickengasser.com for that. If somebody is not a good coaching member for you, let's say, and they're looking for someone who specifically can work with them on lifestyle design, and they think I would be a good fit, talkwithpatrick.com is how you go and set up a strategy session. So it's I specifically designed that so you didn't have to write it down. You could just remember it, talkwithpatrick.com. And you go right on and you can book a strategy session. And, I know you do a lot of coaching. You're obviously great at what you do. I've, followed your work, but if someone might be a fit for me specifically because of what I do in terms of lifestyle design, if that's something that's important to them, then I'd be happy to have a conversation with them. But you can go to patrickengasser.com, book me for speaking, for if you're looking for a corporate speaker, or you're an event coordinator looking for a speaker. I do most of my talks are on motivation, overcoming challenges, obviously as someone who's a blind entrepreneur and sales professional, overcoming challenges, leadership. So the subtitle of my book, Inspiration for Eliminating Excuses, Overcoming Challenges, and Succeeding in Business and Life. A lot of that was designed specifically for speaking because those are the topics a lot of event coordinators and HR departments are bringing people in to speak for. And I love doing it. I love sharing that experience, and also sharing how others can have similar success to what I've had.
Oh, yeah. And that's one thing I love about meeting different coaches and other entrepreneurs on this podcast and other places is, because I know my personality is not going to fit everybody. And
sure, mine either.
I tend to coach more like a drill instructor than a lot of people. And not everybody wants that, obviously. And so, I love referring people to somebody that can help them be successful, not just putting money in my pocket.
Back at you. Same here.
Yeah. All right. So as we get ready to start closing out, I see a bookshelf behind you, a crowded bookshelf. And so I always like to ask everybody, top three resources. If you could recommend like three books, if somebody came to you and said, I want to read three books to help me be successful in life, what would you recommend?
Yeah, well, as a Christian, I have to say the Bible first, because
Perfect answer.
that's the one I'm in every morning. So, but just I think whatever your faith is, I think, and even if you don't have if you're not a person of faith, I highly recommend, obviously, as a Christian. But that being said, even if you're not, I would say do something with your mindset and spend some time, invest some time alone each morning, whatever that is, whether that's meditation or just in general, just being grateful for the things you have. Your life looks a whole lot different when you wake up in the morning and the first lens you look through is one of gratitude. Everything changes when you start to look at it that way. It's very difficult to think of 10 things you're grateful for first thing in the morning, even if it's just 5 minutes of silence, and then being really miserable after that. Trust me, it can happen some days, but it's harder. Let's put it that way. Second, I would say one of my favorite books, 10X is easier than 2X.
That's an amazing book.
Yes, Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy, fantastic book if you're looking for more freedom in your life, and you're looking to build a business based on freedom, freeing up your time, and also focusing on what I call your core of genius. That's not something that's mentioned in that way in the book, but it's the same idea. Your core of genius, that your zone of genius of what are you really good at? What's the 20% you should be focused on rather than the 80% that most people focus on, which is everything. Most people are not good at everything. As a matter of fact, I've yet to meet someone who is. They're good at 2 or 3 things and not so good at other things. I'm really good at building relationships, and coaching and mentoring people to take what I've done and turn that into success. I'm a really good listener. There's a lot of things though that, don't ask me to sit down and work with technology that I haven't worked with before. Like my wife can take stuff that she never worked with before and figure it out in 10 minutes. I'll forget it. It's not happening.
I'm not that guy either. Don't ask me to fix your car or fix something around the house.
Yeah. And I would say, for me, another one that I think really changed my life, and not to say that I work a 4-hour work week, I don't, but I love the book, The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. It's just, there's so many great ideas in there and thoughts on how to become more efficient and effective. And he really makes it funny in the book, humorous, and entertaining, but also really gets you to understand that, hey, there's a lot of fat in most of our lives that we need to cut out. A lot of things that are not creating the life that you want. And so, like I said, I don't use everything from the book. It's not like everything in my life is 100% automated and I go just, sail around the world all year. But if you read that book and your goal is more freedom as an entrepreneur or more freedom as a sales professional, I think you'd be hard pressed not to find something in there that would make an impact on you.
Yeah, that's that's one that lives on my shelf. It's got a permanent spot here.
Yeah, I've 4 or 5 times I've read it all the way through. Well, at least the first parts, maybe not all the footnotes in the back, but the majority of it I've read multiple times, because my wife Rebecca always jokes with me. She's like, well, I can tell you're in a growth mode because the 4-hour work week's out again. So
All right. Yeah. So for the last question, let's go totally off topic. Because this one's kind of a personal question. We helped train a guide dog for Dogs Inc., which is in Tampa, not a few hours from you, I guess. So your guide dog, I'm assuming a Labrador Retriever?
Yeah, so the one on the cover, thank you for asking. That's a great question. The dog
Nobody
on the
asked about the dog.
Yeah, no, they don't. No, I've only had that one other time on a podcast because someone had a blind aunt and they're like, I wanted to ask about the dog. But my dog on the cover there is Elvis. Unfortunately, that's from a few years ago. He's not with us anymore, but I have a black Labrador now, Indy. And he's just a star like my previous dog in terms of just everybody loves him, wants to be around him, and they want pictures with him after I speak more than they want it with me.
Does he autograph the books with a little paw print?
They'd like it if he did, I'll tell you that. So, but yeah, I found that was a really great resource for me when I was in the sales industry for many years. Of just business owners wanted to meet with me a lot of times because they, or would talk to me at least about the dog when I'd walk in. It was a great way to build rapport. So use your resources. Yeah. It might not be a dog for you, but whatever it is, to build rapport and build relationships with people, lean into that. Sometimes we look at it as a liability. Early on, I kind of looked at it as, hey, I got a neon sign that says blind guy approaching. But once I found out that people actually wanted to talk to me because I had a story and they wanted to, talk about my dog and ask me questions about the dog, I realized I had a tool, if I was willing to see it as an asset, not a liability, but use it as leverage in a good way, to build those relationships, that I actually had something that nobody else had. And it went from, even in the office, it went from, hey, I don't think this guy's going to make it. I mean, I have good hearing. I can hear the whispers, right? I don't know how this guy's going to make it. He can't drive. He can't see. He's got challenges even people here don't have, and 90% of people in this industry don't make it. I don't know how that's going to happen. To a year later or 2 years later, it's unfair. This guy's got a dog. Everybody books an appointment with him. I'm like, how quickly that changed over 2 years. Yeah. But it's all how you look at it, man. Everything is, for the most part, I think it was Wayne Dyer used to say that, the way you change, the way you look at things, and the way you look at, and the things you look at change. And I think that's so true. Yeah. If you look at things and you shift your mindset, everything changes. So yeah, dog's been a huge, I'm a dog person in general. I grew up with dogs. So it was always something I wanted when I was 18 years old. Yeah. I got him first dog right after high school, and Indy's my third dog. So I would never want to be without having a lab in the house. Yeah. All right. So Indy, is it Indiana Jones, like from the... Yeah, that's his puppy raiser said that, because he was a year and a half when I got him, that he wasn't sure if it was for that or Indianapolis or whatever, but he really liked the name, and I think it's a cool name too. So I was just thinking that quote from the movie. We named the dog Indiana. There you go. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, when I used to do construction sales for my dad, I would take my little kids with me, and like I'm doing estimating and stuff, and they would hold the other end of the tape measure, and honestly, it opened more doors than anything. I mean, they didn't get away; they actually helped. People love dogs and kids, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Well, this has been a fun interview. I mean, it's pretty neat because I am interested in, especially the mindset shifting and just being aware of opportunities, because it's something I have to work hard at. But when I hit it right, I mean, it works. You and me both. It's, everyone thinks that because I do motivational speaking and because I, write books about it, that I'm, it's easy for me. And that's not the case for all of us. It's something you got to work at, but all good things, right? All good things are the things we need to work at the hardest, but they also pay the biggest dividends and the biggest rewards. So I'm with you, but absolutely, when I'm on my game, when the mindset is right, and I'm connecting with that, then the rest, I don't want to say just takes care of itself, but it kind of does. I mean, the rest of amazing things happen when you have that right mindset. So I love hearing you say that. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this. Thanks for being on, Patrick. And, you have an awesome day. I mean, I'm in South Carolina. It's a pretty day here. I'm assuming it's probably about the same for you. Although you guys just had a rocket go up in the air. We did. Yeah, not too far from here. Yeah, it was about 78, 79 today. So it's a beautiful day. Where about are you at in South Carolina? I'm in near Greenville, in the upper western corner. Okay. Yeah, not the beach part. We're in that area for speaking. I'll have to stop by. I'll have to grab lunch sometime. Oh, man. Yeah, I've got a little farm here. You and the dog would love it. Yes, we would. Yeah. And you're welcome to bring the kids too. We got some woods they could play in and everything. Greenville. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being with us, man. Thanks for having me. You have an awesome day. God bless. Yes, sir. Hey, everybody. Before we close out, first of all, I hope you enjoyed that podcast, whether it was an interview with an amazing entrepreneur or a business lesson for me. I sincerely hope that you gain something from it that you can use in your life moving forward. Before I leave, though, I need to mention that this podcast is sponsored by Lowe's Home Improvement Stores. I have become a Lowe's creator. It's a pretty cool thing because on this farm, I mean, I'm looking out the window right now and seeing all the things that I want to do around here. Most of these things I can do with products from Lowe's Home Improvement. And so I'm excited to be a Lowe's creator. If you want to check out some things from them and order some stuff and see my specially curated Lowe's storefront, you can click in the show notes. There's a link there for you. And I hope you build some amazing things. And hey, you know what? If you do,
Send me pictures. I would absolutely love to see the amazing things that you're building at your house using Lowe's products or anything else, really. I'm just curious. I want to know everything about you and everything about the cool projects you're doing, because I'll be honest with you, I get some neat ideas for things I want to do at my house as well. All right, y'all take care. Thanks for listening.